Hello. In the last one, we were using a latency-free setup to record along. Well, I was playing a bass in along with some drums. So I've basically done that now. This is the result. Um, this is the bass line, and this is the recording of the foldback I made. Now I recorded the foldback because it would help with syncing up. Because obviously, relative to me playing, it was a latency free setup, but I have just moved the latency back down the chain. So all I need to do to correct that is record the foldback when I record the bass for a start, and then yeah. So these things in the waveform of the foldback are in fact drum beats. So if I mute the drum bus, turn on the foldback, mute the bass. Now, the drum bus I'll explain later, but basically it's what I've been using to. Um, well, if in the view window you've got a few options of things you can look at, and one of the things you can look at is the editor list. The editor list is that bit that just disappeared, so I better put it back because I'm talking about it. So, yeah, basically it's got a visibility column and it lets you turn off things. So I turned off all the drums because it didn't need to be looking at them, but when I play the track they do look cool. Yeah, because you've got loads of lights jumping up and down. That looks way better. If your boss was to walk in and saw that, they'd be like, oh yeah, what's going on? So yeah, that's the kind of thing. But sometimes it's just annoying, and you're trying to actually look at something particular. So you can turn them all off so that you're just looking at what you want to see. And right now we have the drums represented here. Actually, there's a drum bus as well, because what I didn't show you there as well is the reason to turn them back on was that I've sent these. You got a bus selection button at the bottom of these mixer columns, and I've sent these ones to the drum bus, which is a bus that I created similar to the master bus except just for drums, so that I can put plugins that only affect the drums, but all of the drums. So yeah, that's what I did, and so like there's the master, but actually we don't want it to go to the master. We want it to be to the drum bus, so we'll leave it on drum bus. But yeah, so when we do that, it goes to this, and then basically I've got it muted at the moment. Let's go back to the beginning, because we're listening to the foldback. But if I actually mute the foldback recording, put the drums on, you can see they actually are there. The point is that we're trying to get the bass in sync with the drums that we've got in there. So we've got the foldback recording, we've got the bass line. They're a little bit out of sync with the thing because of obviously we pushed the latency down the queue. So what we're going to do is just select them both and then line up the drum beats from the foldback with the ones in the MIDI track, using the grid lines. So I think that's probably roughly right, isn't it? Let's just have a look at another one. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So now if I mute the foldback but leave the bass and the drum bus on, there we go. So yeah, as you can see, the bass line's now in time with the actual drums, and the actual drums that we're using sound really okay. Now the reason that is that I've managed to widen the mix out a little bit on those using a technique I learned about called a Huss delay. Now what you can do is, because I've got all the drums pointing at the one drum bus, I've put an LCR delay effect on it, or plugin. So this is basically gives you the option to, you got multiple channels, the left, center and right channels, and you can put an amount of delay on them, feedback if you want, but I haven't done any feedback. But basically I've put 13 or 14 milliseconds on the right channel. So if I show you, like, that's what's giving this scope the nice wide pattern. If I was to reduce that back to 0, what have I got? I've got both of them on. Weird phasing issues when you put two of the same thing on top of each other. But that shows that they were quite in time, actually, so that's quite good. But actually, yeah, so the drum bus, and that you can see there now that we've got no phasing issues from the repeat thing, and we've got no delay on it. It is very, very in the middle, up and down on that scope. But if I now put that back, widens right across the mix. And it sounds, to me, it sounds a lot better. It sounds less boxed in. I like it quite a lot. So that's what I did there to widen out the mix. And there's a few other things you can do. Like one thing I'm going to play with is using some form of tremolo effect to send parts of signals across the left and right at frequencies and stuff, just to see if I can. You know, I'll probably do that on the guitar track, to be honest. The bass I'm going to try and keep nice and in the middle. But yeah, so that's what we did for a wider mix. And to actually get the bass to sound a bit better, I was going to do some stuff with processing the signal. And there's a new thing that's come out recently I really wanted to play with, because it's kind of bleeding edge. So I've had a go at it. It's neural amp modeling, and what it is if I turn it on, can you hear? Let's turn off the drums for a second. Let's go back to the beginning, just because there's more bass going on. That's without. So what it is, it runs these models that you can download from a website called Tone Hunt, which I've got up here, and basically they're recorded versions of amplifiers that people have got in the real world that they've recorded in their studios. And I'm not sure how it works, but a neural net, an artificial intelligence, can create these models of these amps by methods I'm not familiar with, to be quite honest with you, but they do it, and you can download them and load it into this plugin, which will make your sounds different. So let's make a different noise. What does a 1971 Fender Bassman sound like if we are going to try and get it clean? That's not much different. What else have we got? I wonder if we got. Oh, that's a bit different. So yeah, we can basically download all these different amp models and run them on this. And also, I have had a go. You can just add extra plugins into the chain as well to still muck about with, the sound even further. So let's say we wanted an EQ. Let's go for that nice ZAM EQ that I like. So now we've got a ZAM EQ, and we can So yeah, look, now I've basically put an EQ at the front of that amp model, so using a plug-in chain I can sort of muck about with the amp even further. I don't really like what I've done there, so I'll just remove that. That was just to prove the point that you can use other plugins with it. But yeah, this is nice and fun. It's it gives you a lot more options than it's got infinite sound options now, basically, so long as someone's recorded a version of the real one. And it's fun to try out different ones. So yeah, to get rid of that plug-in there. Where's delete? Oh, I'll just delete on my keyboard. No, it won't. Because it won't let me. There we go. Go away. Right, yeah, so we've got neural amp modelling. Made the mix a bit wider. Had a look at how a drum bus can be used for fun and profit. And yeah, like, that's been done with that zero latency recording we made last time. So I think we've made a bit of progress on this. Well, hopefully. So yeah, I'm going to keep working on it, and if I find out any more nifty tricks, I'll show you in the next one. So until then, take care.